This is Bergstrom's State Line Quiz Bowl. Now from the Collins Aerospace Studio at the Nordloff Center in downtown Rockford, here's your host, Eric Wilson.
Welcome to another Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. We are so glad you decided to join us this weekend. We've got a couple of great teams here. We're still riding high off of that last game. Christian Life had a really strong performance, moved on into our second round. There aren't many more seats left in the second round. In fact, one of the final two seats remaining will go to one of these two teams, and either of these teams will be worthy opponents in the second round. First, let's say hello to the Morrison Mustangs. This is the Mustangs' fifth year competing in Quiz Bowl. Season 6 runners-up, hoping to avenge a round 1 exit from last season. Zayden, that's probably high on your priority list right now. Introduce us to your starting lineup.
To my left is Mark, to my far right is Nara, and to my near right is Rowan.
Welcome, Morrison Mustangs, taking on the Stockton Blackhawks. The Blackhawks made it into the second round last year, but then ran into the Auburn buzzsaw. But a win today would make 4 round 2 appearances in your 8 seasons in Quiz Bowl. Those are pretty impressive stats. David, introduce us to who you brought with you.
All right, to my immediate right is Landon, to my far left is Kyle, and to my immediate left is Sam.
All right, a couple of good-looking teams ready to go and answer some questions, show us all how smart they are. And it's another unique first-round matchup. These two have never played each other in their histories with our tournament. We'll begin with our buzz-in round contestants, so hands on your buzzers. 2 most important rules. Wait for me to call your name before you answer, and then say that answer loudly and clearly. Good luck. Here's our first question. What on-demand video service merging with Discovery Plus streams Gossip Girl as well as shows from its... Rowan.
The CW.
Incorrect. I will finish for Stockton. Streams Gossip Girls as well as shows from its namesake cable network, such as Game of Thrones. Landon.
HBO Max.
HBO Max is correct. That's the streaming service. Fun fact, Rockford's Bob Greenblatt was head of HBO Max for a while. Stockton's first on the board this game. What English title is shared by a play from 414 BC featuring a city in the clouds and an Alfred Hitchcock film in which a town is attacked by avians? Those avians are birds. The movie and that play are both called The Birds. What quantity measured in watts, which is bounded by the Eddington limit, quantifies the power radiated by an astronomical body? The quantity's luminosity. An Eddington limit actually refers to the theoretical highest mass of a star. Stephanie Beatriz voiced Mirabelle, the only non-magical member of what family at... Rowan.
The Madrigals.
That's right. What family at the center of the movie Encanto? Morrison's now on the board. What peninsula is west of the Kerch Strait, is home to the cities of Yalta and Sevastopol, and was controversially, David?
Crimean.
Crimean is right. Yeah, that's the peninsula, controversially annexed by Russia in 2014. What unit equal to just under 150 million kilometers is approximately the distance between the Earth and the Sun? Kyle.
Astronomical unit?
Yep, and it's abbreviated AU, about 93 million miles, roughly. Stockton's got another one. What author who created Detective Dirk Gently wrote about a computer that gives the confounding answer 42 in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? 42 is the answer to life, the universe, and everything, according to Douglas Adams. What Persian king whose forces won the Battle of Thermopylae watched his navy's defeat at the Battle of Salamis from a throne on Mount Sam?
Xerxes?
Xerxes is right. What author, who Abraham Lincoln called the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war, created Simon Legree in Uncle Tom's Cabin? The war Lincoln was talking about, of course, was the Civil War. That's Harriet Beecher Stowe. Vin Scully, who died in 2022 at age 94, served as the broadcast voice of what Major League Baseball team for 67 years? No broadcaster has ever spent this much time with a single team. That was the LA Dodgers. What character played by Kirsten Dunst and Florence Pugh in film adaptations of Little Women is the youngest sister of Meg, Jo, and Beth March? That was Amy March. And that's how we end the round. We're out of time for the first round, but we've got 3 more rounds of this game to play. Stockton is ahead with 40 points. Morrison has 10. We'll be back with our volleyball round in about 2 minutes. We have got another close first round game here for Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Stockton's on top right now, 40-10. Before we get to the volleyball round, just a very special thank you to Brad Fisher, who's the head editor of the IHSA Scholastic Bowl State Series, also our judge today. Thanks for making our game better, Brad, and being a longtime supporter of Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl. Contestants, volleyball is a conferring round, so work as a team. The answers have to come from the captains, though, and our first volleyball question this week will go to Zayden and Morrison. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here comes your first one. What author described a ruinous lawsuit in his novel Bleak House and depicted Estella's lonely childhood with Miss Havisham in Great Expectations?
Charles Dickens.
I'm going to give credit to Violet for that one. She knew it right away. Nice work. And you're first on the board in the round. Over to David and Stockton now. In what country did Karachi-born Benazir Bhutto serve 2 terms as prime minister before being assassinated near Islamabad?
Pakistan.
Yep, and that credit's going to Kyle. I saw you lean over and reach there and send that answer to David. Question for question now. Our teams are matching each other. We're back to Morrison and Zayden. What emperor was served by the minister Li Si, ended the Warring States period, was buried with the Terracotta Army, and founded the Qin dynasty?
No answer.
We're going all the way back to the 3rd century BC for this. So it's kind of a tough Asian history question. Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang. Back to Stockton. What disease, which develops when beta cells in the pancreas are destroyed, is characterized by high blood glucose and a need for injected insulin?
Diabetes.
That's correct. And that came from the bookends. Landon and Kyle both got you that one. Those are your points again. We're going to go over to Morrison now for a new question. What Englishman mourned the 1833 death of his friend Arthur H. Hallam in the short poem Break, 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 as well as the elegy In Memoriam A.H.H.?
No answer.
He also wrote the poem Mort d'Arthur, Alfred Lord Tennyson. Back to Stockton. What novel depicts a dog named Pilot who resides at Thornfield Hall, ends with the narrator's marriage to Mr. Rochester, and is by Charlotte Bronte?
No answer.
Jane Eyre. Back to you, Morrison. What national leader introduced the new economic policy, took power in the October Revolution, and was a Bolshevik who formed the Soviet Union?
Lenin.
Yes, you got it. Led the Soviets from 1917 to 1924. Back to Stockton. What British chemist who used X-rays to show an element's defining characteristic is its atomic number was killed in 1915 during World War I?
No answer.
Some historians believe that if he had lived, he might have won the Nobel Prize in Physics that following year. Henry Moseley. Morrison. What building, which is depicted on the reverse of the bicentennial half dollar, is named after a document that was approved there on July 4th, 1776?
Independence Hall.
You got it. And that document, of course, the Declaration of Independence. You get those points, and that's how we end the round. We're out of time for any more questions. Still a 20-point game. Stockton's on top, but only by 20 points right now with 60. Morrison has 40. Halfway through our game means our Bergstrom bonus question. You get to see it first. The contestants will right after this break.
On January 24th, 1848, an accidental find at Sutter's Mill kicked off a massive gold rush to what future West Coast state?
It's a tight game still right now, halfway through our game this week. Stockton has 60, Morrison has 40. Halfway through, we like to take a break for pizza. and pasta from Lino's. That's what's on the line with our Bergstrom bonus question. So if you're watching at home, you already saw the question. This is the first time our contestants will see it. So if you know the answer to this, buzz in and it'll win a pizza party for you and your team. Here we go. On January 24th, 1848, an accidental find at Sutter's Mill kicked off a massive gold rush to what future West Coast state? Zayden.
California.
That is correct. Nice job. You win the pizza. That gold rush brought more than 300,000 people to California, and then a couple of years later, in September of 1850, California actually became our 31st state. Enjoy that pizza and pasta. You enjoy another 2-minute break. Actually, this is more for us to take a quick break, catch our breath, and we'll come back with the NECA IBEW lightning round and get ready for that. There's a lot of points on the line. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Back to our gameplay now. 2 more rounds left to go. This one has a ton of points in it, and scores change very dramatically, pretty typically in our lightning round, our NECA IBEW lightning round. Stockton has 60 right now. Morrison has 40. First pick this week in our lightning goes to David and Stockton. So here are your 3 categories, David. Numbers, Dutch-derived words, or double D.
Double D, please.
You got it. Give the people, places, or things whose names contain a double D. You'll have 60 seconds to go through these 10, potentially 100 points added to your score, and then Zayden, you and the team will have 30 seconds to get to what they don't get to, or any points that are left on the board. And advice for both teams: keep this in mind, you can pass. So use that if you need to. Don't let the clock get you, and so you don't even get to all 10 questions, because that happens sometimes. David, here is your first one. Are you ready? The clock will start after I give it to you. Give these people, places, or things whose names contain a double D. Aircraft or ship part used to control yaw.
Rudder.
Correct. Capital of Ethiopia.
Addis Ababa.
Correct. 2016 film about black women who were NASA mathematicians.
Hidden Woman.
Incorrect. George Eliot novel about Dorothea Brooke.
Pass.
Religion with Mahayana and Theravada branches.
Buddhism.
Correct. Musical in which Tevye sings If I Were a Rich Man.
Pass.
Margaret Atwood novel that follows Oryx and Crake and the Year of the Flood.
Pass.
Doctor who treated John Wilkes Booth's broken leg in 1865.
Pass.
Pioneering rocket scientist who created the first liquid-fueled rockets.
Pass.
Supervillain alter ego of Edward Nygma.
Pass.
And that's our time. 3 correct. That's added to your score. You're up to 90. So that means there's 7 left for you, Zayden, and the team, but you only have 30 seconds to do that, and I will read these as fast as I can. You may not need all the time, or you may not have time to get all of them, but I'll do the best job as I can for you. Give these people, places, or things whose names contain a double D. Ready? Here's your first one. 2016 film about black women who were NASA mathematicians.
Hidden Figures.
That's correct. George Eliot novel about Dorothea Brooke.
Pass.
Musical in which Tevye sings If I Were a Rich Man.
Pass.
Margaret Atwood novel that follows Oryx and Crake and the Year of the Flood.
Pass.
Doctor who treated John Wilkes Booth's broken leg in 1865.
Pass.
Pioneering rocket scientist who created the first liquid-fueled rockets.
Pass.
And no time to get to that last one. So you added one, you got one correct, you added 10 points to your score. I'll go through these really quickly. The George Eliot novel about Dorothea Brooke is Middlemarch, named after the town where it's set. The musical with Tevye, who sings If I Were a Rich Man, is Fiddler on the Roof. The Margaret Atwood novel is probably better known for Handmaid's Tale, but that doesn't fit the double D description of the category, Mad Adam. The doctor who treated John Wilkes Booth was Samuel Mudd, M-U-D-D. The pioneering rocket scientist, also the name of Jimmy Neutron's robot dog, that's Goddard, Robert Goddard. And the supervillain alter ego of Edward Nygma was the Riddler. 1 category down, at least two more to pick from. And Zayden, your choices are numbers or Dutch-derived words.
We'll take numbers.
Okay, that's yours. What positive integer or positive whole number is. So Every description I give you is going to complete that sentence. All of your answers are going to be numbers, so both teams, this could fly by. Again, I will read this as quickly as possible. What positive integer or positive whole number is? The clock will start when I give you this first one. Zayden, are you set?
Yes.
Here it comes. What positive integer is the closest to pi?
3.
Correct. The number of sides in a heptagon?
7.
Correct. A divisor of all even numbers but no odd number?
2.
Correct. The multiplicative identity?
1.
Correct. Number of degrees in a right angle?
180.
Incorrect. The largest perfect cube below 100?
Pass.
The next Fibonacci number after 21?
Pass.
The smallest perfect number?
4.
Incorrect. 4 factorial?
24.
Correct. The base of vigesimal system as used by the Mayans?
Pass.
The largest perfect cube below 100? And that's your timer. Solid round. You're now in the lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 correct. 5 left for you, David, so you'll change that score if you can get any of these or add them to your total. 30 seconds to run through them again. I'll go as fast as I can. What positive integer or positive whole number is? Are you ready?
Yep.
Number of degrees in a right angle?
90.
Correct. Largest perfect cube below 100?
81.
Incorrect. The next Fibonacci number after 21?
Pass.
The smallest perfect number?
Pass.
The base of a vigesimal system as used by the Mayans?
Pass.
The next Fibonacci number after 21?
33.
Incorrect.
Yep.
So you got one more. You tied it up. So we're both in triple digits right now. I'll do the 4 that no one got really quickly. That largest perfect cube below 100 is 4 to the third, which is 64. The next Fibonacci number after 21, 13 plus 21 equals 34. The smallest perfect number, and a perfect number is the sum of, it's equal to the sum of its divisors. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. 6 was that smallest perfect number. And then the base of a vigesimal system as used by the Mayans was 20. So it's not get much more exciting than this, at least for us watching. Maybe not so much for you playing, maybe a little more nerve-wracking. We're a tie game. Might as well be 0-0, but it's not. It's 100 to 100. And we'll see what happens to this tie in our final challenge, which is next. That lightning round pretty much equalized things. The definition of equal, right? We're all the same playing field right now. 100 points for each of our teams, Morrison and Stockton, trying to get one of those last 2 spots in our Sweet 16. Hands on your buzzers, contestants, for our final challenge. And remember, when we're this close, the most important rules, wait for me to call your name before you answer, and say that answer loudly and clearly. Here we go. Good luck. What author is usually credited with writing Prometheus Bound and depicted a king returning from Troy in Agamemnon, the first play of the Oresteia? Nara.
Homer.
Incorrect. Stockton, you could break the tie with this. That author was Aeschylus. What former Texas congressman and director of the CIA served as vice president under Ronald Reagan? Zayden.
George H.W. Bush.
You got it, and you got all the specifics as well, and you break the tie with that. Morrison's on top by 20. What painting technique in which artists paint onto a layer of intonaco consisting of wet plaster has a name derived from the Italian for fresh? David.
Fresco.
Fresco, you got it. Back to a tie. What type of kinetic sculpture exemplified by Alexander Calder's lobster trap and fishtail includes objects that can be moved by air currents? Zayden.
Windmills.
Incorrect. Stockton. Those kinetic sculptures are mobiles. What American author of Dragon Seed and East Wind, West Wind wrote about O-Lan and her husband, the farmer Wang Lung, in her novel The Good Earth? It's Kyle.
Emily Dickinson.
Incorrect. Morrison, you could take the lead. Pearl S. Buck. What explorer and scout who forced Navajo civilians onto the long walk to Bosque Redondo guided John C. Fremont and names the capital of Nevada? Kyle.
Carson.
That's right. Kit Carson. That capital is Carson City. Stockton's ahead. P waves in the earth and sound waves in air exemplify what type of wave for which the oscillations are parallel to the direction of propagation, unlike transverse waves? Landon.
Inverse waves.
Incorrect. Morrison, you have a chance for this. You tie it up. Nara.
Lateral waves?
Incorrect. Longitudinal. What composer used a two-note viola motif to depict a barking dog in the part of his contest between harmony and invention known as the Four Seasons? Rowan.
Vivaldi?
That is correct. Antonio Vivaldi. We are now tied. What religion, whose adherents are divided into mansions and follow the vegetarian Ital diet, reveres Haile Selassie and developed in Jamaica? Kyle.
Voodoo.
Incorrect. Morrison, you could take the lead. Go ahead, Zayden.
Jainism.
Incorrect. Rastafarianism, man. What author who described a Bible salesman who steals a woman's wooden leg in the story Good Country People wrote, "A good man is hard to find"? Nara.
Melville?
Incorrect. Stockton. Flannery O'Connor. What cabinet department, which until 2003 oversaw the Secret Service, was led in the Civil War by Salmon Chase and in the 1790s by Alexander Hamilton? Nara.
The Treasury?
Treasury Department it is, now led by Janet Yellen. And that is how we end the game with that final question, up by 20 points. Morrison, high fives all around. That's right, Nara and Rowan. Way to go. Congratulations. You earned one of the last two seats in our Sweet 16. Nice job. Feels like there's some suppressed clapping going on in here. You go ahead and clap. That's worth it. Stockton, what a great game. You'd much rather win, clearly, and this is the hardest part of the game where we have to say goodbye to our teams, but you should be very proud of yourselves. You played a fantastic game. It was fun to watch. It was exciting, but also I understand it feels better to be on the winning end. How many of you are seniors? Just David. Okay, so the three of you and your subs, you're going to come back next season, right? I'm going to lock you in today. And David, good luck in your future endeavors. It's been fun watching you play our game, and you come visit anytime, okay? And we hope to see you next week where we wrap up our first round with Harlem versus Oregon. We'll see you then.